I'm here with the Reverend Dr. Timothy L. Brown, President of Western Theological Seminary. Dr. Brown joined Western in 1995 as Professor of Homiletics and has been President since 2008. He served on the Reformed Church in America's Board of Theological Education, the Hope College Board of Trustees, and on numerous other boards. His books include The Spiritual Formation Bible and A Goodly Heritage. Thank you, Tim, for joining us today.
Thank you, Brian. I'm honored.
Next, can you tell me how you first learned about Mr. Buechner's work?
Yeah, that's a happy memory, Brian. Thank you. I was a student at Western Theological Seminary from 1973 to 1976, and one of our beloved teachers, New Testament scholar Jim Cook, was also an avid Buechner fan and reader, and he introduced me to Frederick Buechner, and I swallowed it hook, line, and sinker. Absolutely.
That's really great. What most attracts you to Mr. Buechner's writing?
It's his clarity, his honesty, and his just great capacity to say things in such a way that it opens up to the reader. Yeah, that's it, right? And let me add to that. When I read him, I think I'm talking to him, and that's a high value for me. I've been preaching for a long time, and I'm pretty convinced that you have to teach a student how to write a sermon, but they have to write a sermon for the ear and not the eye. And Frederick Buechner does that. He taught me. Mr. Buechner's writing has influenced me like a coach influences a player. I can sense him over my shoulder as I'm writing something, saying, no, don't do it that way, do this. So I treat many of his sentences, quite frankly, like a warm-up drill in practice, where you just kind of keep saying the sentence over and over again. Yeah.
Which of Mr. Buechner's books would you say has meant most to you?
Hands down, Telling the Truth. Hands down. I'm going to pull it off the shelf right here because I want to read something of it. May I do that?
Certainly.
Okay. Well, I won't read it. I'll just, this whole opening, this book, of course, were his Lyman Beecher lectures, and when I was doing my own doctoral work, I did a survey of preaching influences in North America through the lens of the Lyman Beecher lecture series. So, and he was one of the lecturers that got special focus in my work. So, and this book, of course, is his lectures, and they're just terrific.
That's great. That's certainly been a very popular book for pastors. More broadly speaking, what influence would you say that Mr. Buechner has had on Christianity and the world at large?
Well, let me speak for the Christian world first. He has had the remarkable capacity to help us all be honest, to be honest about ourselves, and that's a great gift. Pastors and preachers have a tendency to sound really phony to people. Frederick Buechner won't let you do that. I mean, if you read him and let him coach you, you'll become a more honest preacher. And I admire that so much. And I think that's a great influence.
If you were to sum up Fred in a few words, what would you say?
Oh, a literary surgeon. He has the capacity to make you hurt good. Yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah, honestly so. I can read sentences, chapters in his work, and find myself undressed. And by the end of the book, I'm fully clothed again. Yeah, he's a surgeon, that's for sure.
That's really a wonderful insight, Tim. Thank you.
Oh, that's kind of you to say. Thank you, and I mean it. And I hope that he gets to hear this because it's made all the difference in the world to me. And could I just say a little bit more about that?
Of course.
Uh, one of the burdens that I have lived under all my life is being the child of a divorced mother, and feeling always like a second-class citizen. And Fred's work has made me see that we're all, in and of ourselves, second class. And you only become first class in Jesus. And he's shown me that, and I'm so grateful. And in this, the opening story in Telling the Truth is the story of Henry Ward Beecher getting ready to preach in the Lyman Beecher. He'll follow his father in what would become the Lyman Beecher lectures, and he's in the middle as he's preparing these lectures. He's in the middle of an affair, and so inwardly he's a louse of a man, and yet God is using him, and that helped me, quite frankly, to see into my own life and realize that the sufficiency of any preacher is not in and of themselves. So it's been really an emotional thing to read Buechner over the years.
Well, thank you so much, Tim. Is there anything else you'd like to pass along before we finish?
Only to say once again, thank you, Frederick Buechner, for who you are and all that you are by nature and by grace. And I hope the Lord gives you as many more years as you want to have before he says to you, well done, good and faithful servant.
Well, thank you again, Tim. We really appreciate you joining us.
Oh, thank you, Brian. I hope it was helpful.